Okay, so we've been learning about Kabbalat Shabbat from Reb Shlomo, and also we were looking in the Siddur, and we're looking at the Mizmorim of Kabbalah Shabbos. There's a Durham here, over once, and there's also the Sforim are here. And as I've told you, these teachings are transcripts from a double CD that came out years ago on Kabbalah Shabbos, that Reb Shlomo was singing all the Nigunim, and you can find it on YouTube also. And a few words that he says about each Mizmor, you know. So yesterday we were on the second day, and we also looked at the Alter Rebbe and some other sources about the Inyan of Kabbalat Shabbat. And what the Alter Rebbe was explaining was that during the week we build our Ratzon, our desire to come close to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to have a Havas Hashem and so on. And we do that through learning and through Hidbonenut, through meditation and so on. And then comes Shabbos, and a higher Ratzon comes down from above that takes you to a level of love with Hashem that is beyond anything that you were able to imagine. So that's and that's the aspect also of the Neshama Yisera, the additional soul that we get on Shabbos, that we, you know, in a very mundane way. One of the reasons that people like to eat more on Shabbos is because of the Neshama Yisera, you know, like the poor soul didn't eat all week, you know. You know, once Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, as strange as the story sounds, he went over to one of the Hasidim and he put his hands on the fellow's stomach and he said, Shalom Aleichem Shabbos. So he said, Rabbi, what are you doing? That's my stomach. So he says, I know, but you're always going to Kabbalat Shabbos. Every time you say the Kabbalat Shabbos, you put your hands on your stomach and you shake it a little bit. The Kabbalat Shabbos. So I guess your stomach must be Shabbos. So the whole Inyan of receiving Shabbos, right? So then we looked at the first of the Mizmorim of Kabbalah Shabbos, right? The door, please. Welcome.
My husband.
Opa!
Shalom Aleichem. Come. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Shmuel.
Shmuel what?
Shmuel Gardner.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And the other guy was here yesterday, his name was Harrison, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe he'll come back.
Bezat Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. I know that you gave him a whole list of places that he has to go visit, right?
Yeah.
maybe he's not finished yet. Okay. You can sit with your husband if you want.
Okay.
Where are you? You learning somewhere? You working? Where are you going?
Yeah, Machon Yaakov.
What's that place? That's
Nice
a
swag
nice
there.
logo. Where's
Yeah.
that?
It's in Harnov.
Nice. Very good. Is that something like Machon Shlomo? Or is it a
It's the same
breakaway?
Rosh Hashiva as Machon
Same-
Shlomo.
So he has two places now, or?
Yeah, it's like maybe it's pretty much the same thing, from what I understand. I've never really been to Machon Shlomo, so I don't know.
Okay, so we looked at the first, so the 6 Mizmorim that we have before Kabbalat Shabbos are corresponding, before the Chodoidi, are corresponding to the 6 days of the week, right? And we've been trying to see how these Mizmorim actually relate to the days of the week, right? So we did the first one, the Chunu Anano, and we looked at the second one yesterday. The second one was Shir Lashem Shir Chadash, and we can give them a second. So we're gonna just look a little bit more at the second one for a couple of minutes, and because at the very end of the second Mizmor, we saw that the aspect of judgment coming in, right? The very last sentence. Lifnei Hashem kiva lishpot haaretz in the Chabad Siddhars on page 129. In the other Siddurim, it's
Great.
yeah, you have it. Okay. So, and we spoke a bit about the union of judgment. So I also saw, I looked up Rav Hirsch's commentary on Tehillim, and so the whole Mizmor is like about bringing us into the whole world to realization of the whole beauty of the creation, and to welcome all the nations to come and give honor to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to give honor to Hashem. And we sort of like there was a verse there about watching out not to get trapped into idolatry. We spoke about that a little bit, and the second last verse of the Psalm, Yalos Sadai v'chol asher bo, then the fields and everything in the fields will rejoice. Azir ananu kol atzeyar, then all the trees of the forest will rejoice as well. So Rosh has an interesting thing. He says that basically all the creation is here for the use of man, particularly for us to elevate it to a higher purpose, right? And when we do that, bless you, and when we do that, the earth rejoices. Everything in the creation rejoices, because then it's meeting its purpose, it's fulfilling its purpose. But if man goes ahead and uses the creation in a negative way, so then it's like mamish, it's abuse, pretty much. Okay, and so that's why when the creation hears that Hashem is coming to judge the earth, it rejoices because it knows that things are gonna be put back into place. Things are gonna be the way they should be, right? We also spoke a little bit about how in our own lives, right? I'm speaking for myself, that it would be good to have a judge that you trust, that they're mamish telling you the truth with love, so that all those little things that are blocking one from achieving and from manifesting their best. How long do we want to carry it around? How long do we want to carry it around? And did anybody here ever see the movie Schindler's List? Yeah. So if you remember at the very end of the movie, he's sort of having a couple of moments of tshuva, so to speak. He's got all these trinkets and gold watches and everything and so on, and he's realizing he could have saved another person with this watch. He could have saved another person with this bracelet. He could have saved another person with this, and so on. And that's the one part of the movie where he sort of doesn't come across that authentic, but it doesn't matter. But the point is that we collect things throughout our lives, and that it's, at some point we come to realize that I've been schlepping this around, and I've been schlepping this around, and I've been schlepping this around, and I never really had any real good use for it. And it just was a weight on my, it was just a weight on my life, and in a more spiritual sense, I've been schlepping this bad habit or that bad habit, or a little bit of lashon hara, a little bit of that. And so it would be good to get rid of all that stuff, to get rid of that nonsense, and especially since we want to really receive Shabbos. There's obviously different levels and different degrees in this whole matter, and one should know oneself and take stock of where I'm at. Don't compare yourself with another person, but rather just everyone knows them. Everyone knows their own self, and knows what can I get rid of before Shabbos, or put away, at least on the bookshelf, so to speak, before Shabbos, so that I should be there to receive Shabbos. One of the concepts in the Torah that is very, very difficult for us to understand, besides the fact that it's a chok, it's a law that we don't know the reason for it, is the whole inyan of tumah and tahara, right? Ritual purity and ritual impurity and ritual purity, and even though it's in the category of chokim, it's in the category of mitzvot that we don't understand, still it doesn't mean that we're not allowed to try to understand it a little bit. If you can gain some understanding of it, it's perfectly fine, as long as you don't say, and now I know why God gave us this mitzvah, because you don't know. It's a chok. Understand? It remains. I think somebody's coming in. No, it's okay. It remains a chok. Okay, but nonetheless, nobody, somebody. Nonetheless, nonetheless, it's, if you can understand something about it, why not? And now I was saying that there are different levels of sensitivity. Okay, so for example, one reason that we don't really understand Tum and Tahara today is basically because we're all Tameh. We don't even know what it really means to be Tahor. Okay, the only ones who have a mitzvah, a real Torah mitzvah, but mikveh is women nowadays. But even so, we're all Tameh Lemeit. Until the base of Mikdash is gonna until we get the base of Mikdash, we're not gonna know what it really means to be Tahor. Right? So it's just so foreign, okay? But one idea that I came across is, and I think I mentioned this example a little bit the other day. Suppose, for example, you're a really good Jewish person. You know, you're doing all the things you need to be doing, and so on. But down the block, you know that there's a neighbor that is being abusive to their children, for example. God forbid. Okay. And you're not happy about it, but you don't really do anything about it. Assuming that, I don't know if you can or can't do anything about it, but let's say, but you sort of like tolerate it. Or let me give you a more common example. You know, there are statistics. This neighborhood has such and such a crime rate. This neighborhood has such and such a crime rate. This city has such and such a crime rate, right? And people have grown accustomed that if the crime rate is, that's upstairs, it's okay. If the crime rate is like 7% versus a crime rate of 10%, oh, that's good. You know, that's good. It's sort of like almost like it's sort of we've gotten accustomed to that there's going to be a certain crime rate, right? If we can keep it lower than a certain percentage, that's pretty good. Welcome. Now, if you were really tahor, you would say 7% isn't good either. And 3% is also not good. And 2% is also not good. And 1% is also not good. Right? If we were really tahor. Okay? It's just like, for example, you know, you buy yourself a garment, costs you 35 shekels or whatever it is, and you get a stain on it. Okay, so it's not such a big deal, right? But you get yourself like a $1,500 suit, right? And you put it on and you get a stain on it. And if it can't be cleaned or whatever it is, it really bothers you, right? It really bothers you. So that means to say that the union of tahara, what I'm comparing it to is that sensitivity to things being the way they should be and intolerance when it's not. Okay? And so like I was saying, there are people on a certain madrega, they're like, I once heard this story, I don't know if it's true or not, but this Rosh Hashiva was running in the street like berserk, and somebody stopped him and he says, what's the matter? And he said, there was a murder in the Beit Midrash. So the guy goes running to the Beit Midrash, and he sees everybody's life is going on like normal. This one is talking to this one is sitting and learning, this one is doing that, this one's doing that. And he says, what's happening? They said, nothing, everything's fine. So he says, well, the Rosh Hashiva is running in the street saying that somebody was murdered. So they said, what are you talking about? Eventually, Rosh Hashiva came back. They said, what are you talking about? Why'd you say somebody's murdered? So he says, somebody was embarrassed in public. Right? And like, you know, how many people, like, you know, everybody would go running like crazy if there was an actual physical murder, chas v'shalom, right? But what does it say about us if we can stand by and see somebody being embarrassed publicly and just sort of like, you know, like okay, yeah, it's not nice. I don't like it. But we shrug it off, so to speak, right? So that's you understand. That's related to the idea of tumah, right? Tumah is like spiritual blocks. We're not completely. We're connected with the Rebbeinu Shalom, right? But as long as we're tamei, the connection is not like mamish the way it can be when we're tahor. Okay. So we want, you understand? So that's the function of having a mishpat. You understand that's why we need to have like the real Mikoi judges that can say, "Hey Shalom, this is no good. You got to fix this." If you're not going to do that, you're not going to make progress, or you're not going to make as much progress as you can or should. I think I mentioned it the other day. I know I did this morning, but I think I asked you, but some of you weren't here. Imagine when you're standing at Har Sinai, right? It's this week's parsha. You're standing at Har Sinai, and like everybody is like in awe, right? There's thunder, there's lightning, and the mountain is on fire, and pillar of smoke, and this and that, and all kinds of things, and we just spend 49 days getting ready for this event, and somebody comes up and asks you, by the way, what's your opinion? Do you think that God is going to say that we're not allowed to commit murder? You say, excuse me, where are you? Are you here or you're not here? Right? At that in that state of consciousness, does anybody have to tell you, lo tirtzach, don't commit murder? It's so obvious that you shouldn't, right? So the Zohar says that when Hashem said lo tirtzach, on the street level we understood, don't commit murder. On a higher level we understood, don't embarrass anyone in public. On a higher level we understood, don't take your anger out on anyone. On the highest level we heard, don't even ignore anyone. Right? All these are different subtle. All these are murder in different degrees of subtlety. Right? So I'm not going to ask you to answer, but how many times does it happen that we ignore somebody? Right? How many times do we walk on the street and we see somebody coming towards us, and we don't even give them any no hello, no nothing, and so on. Just like yeah. You're here, you're not here, no big deal, right? So all these things are related to the whole Indian of to really be Mekabel Shabbos, to really receive Shabbos. There's work to be done during the 6 days to actually receive, to really receive Shabbos. Now, even if you didn't do all the work, you're still receiving Shabbos. It's a question of to what degree. Okay? It's a question of to what degree. So we're going down to the next mizmor of the third day. Yeah.
And to give an example, my chavruta, Yosef and Shlomo Kohen, Alav Hashem, he was a Kohen, and he could not tolerate me mentioning the death of someone dying. He said, "I'm a Kohen."
You're talking about Jeff over here.
I'm talking about Jeff Ober.
Yeah, he goes in the remarkable store. Yeah.
And he was very sensitive.
Yeah.
He said, I'm here for life. Kohenim are here to be a blessing of life.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tolerate any contact with death. I cannot even hear. Don't mention death.
Yeah, he was a super sensitive guy. That's the Ishbitzer on that teaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was very hard for me to hear the first time, but once I understood that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the third mizmor. Here's another siddur. And who's going to read today? It was Marissa yesterday. We need somebody to read it out loud. Here, there's more to do. Here. Okay. So, why don't you read the English out loud? You, Shire.
I find it.
It's on page 120, page 130. No, 129. Hashem malach tagil haaretz.
English?
Read it in English, yeah. Otherwise, you have a choice: English or Hungarian. One of the two. Make up your mind.
Which? And the Lord will
You
reveal.
better do it in English.
Yeah, like my Hungarian.
Let him look English.
When Hashem will reveal His kingship, the earth will exult. The multitudes of islands will rejoice. Clouds and dense darkness will surround Him. Justice and mercy will be the foundation of His throne. Fire will go before Him and consume His foes all around. His lightnings will illuminate the world. The earth will see and tremble. The mountains will melt like wax before Hashem, before the Master of all the earth. The heavens will declare His justice, and all the nations will behold His glory. All who worship graven images, who take pride in idols, will be ashamed. All idol worshippers will prostrate themselves before Him. Zion will hear and rejoice. The towns of Judah will exult because of your judgments, O Hashem. For you, Hashem, transcend all the earth. You are exceedingly exalted above all the supernal beings. You who love the Lord hate evil. He watches over the souls of His pious ones. He saves them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. Rejoice in Hashem, you righteous, and extol His holy name.
Okay, so it sort of follows from the previous Mizmor, right? Like the last Mizmor, the last psalm mentioned Hashem coming to judge the earth, right? And this Mizmor is obviously a continuation of the previous one. And so what Reb Shlomo has to say on this particular one, he doesn't really say anything particular about the psalm itself. All he says is that this being the third one, right? So he's suggesting that you go back and think about what happened during the week on your Yom Shlishi, if you could remember that far back. I can barely remember.
Was that yesterday?
Actually, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. How many, like, yesterday, a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And in a sense, so like this means more sort of like saying, okay, think about what you did and fix it now before Shabbos is coming in, right? Fix it now before Shabbos is coming in, right? And basically, like, it's going to be happening, right? The days coming, like, the earth will rejoice because things are going to be set straight again, right? So now look at the last couple of verses of the psalm, of the Mizmor. He says, "Ohavei Hashem sinura." So the third last verse. You who love God hate evil, in the command form. Shomer nafshot chasidav. Hashem protects the lives of the souls of the Hasidim. Miyat Rishaim Yatzilem. He saves them from the hands of the wicked. So Reb Shlomo once said over, I think, in the name of either the Oev Yisrael or the Alexander Rebbe, right? There's how do you know if you love God? If you actually don't have any tolerance for evil, right? You just, if you have tolerance for it, yeah, I love you, God, but like we were talking about this before, right? But if I'm tolerating evil, and now we're not talking about be careful. We're not talking about like by the time we finish the lesson today, we're all going to be BBTs, like in a big Baal Tshuva, right? You've heard of B? There's BT is Baal Tshuva, BBT big Baal Tshuva, FFB from birth, FFBB
From before.
from before birth.
Nice, okay. FFBB.
We all
Right. Okay. So who knows? We might come out of here like in a big Baal Tshuva, and so how do you know that if you really love in God? Like, so if I'm tolerating evil, that means I'm not that much in love with God. It's just like you can think of examples yourself, right? But if you really love Hashem, and you know that Hashem is all about goodness, and everything that Hashem does is good and for the good, etc. You don't want to see anything negative in the world. You don't want anything negative because it blocks the presence of Hashem. So, but then he said, there's a higher level where, so there's one level where you actually have to encounter evil and deal with it. But then if you're like a real chassid, Hashem protects you that you don't even have to encounter evil, right? There's a level where Hashem actually protects you from having to encounter it. Okay, and he ends off, tzaddik, Hashem planted the light for the tzaddikim. It's available to them. Where is the light planted?
Shabbos.
Also, for sure, and also in the Torah. I once told the story about the Belzer Rebbe. Shlomo told the story about they used to have mincha very late, mincha Shabbos afternoon very late in Belz, and they didn't have electric lights like we do today. And I don't remember, there was some other tzaddik that was visiting the Belzer Rebbe, and the Belzer Rebbe said to him, "Here, read do the Kriyas Torah, read the Torah at Shabbos mincha." He says, "Rebbe, it's so dark, I can't see." So he said, "I'll lend you my eyes." And like, it's amazing. It sounds like almost like it doesn't make sense. But there are people. There's a level that the letters of the Torah are shining. That you actually, you see light. Okay. It's very interesting that Hanukkah. Have you seen that Hanukkah animation called Lights that was done years ago here in Eretz Yisrael? Have you seen it? It's online. You can go look up Hanukkah Lights. It's a masterpiece. It's a 25 minute animated masterpiece about Hanukkah. It was done by some people here in Eretz Yisrael about 35 years ago. And what they're in the animation, the art, like the letters of the Torah are coming off with like light, like dancing lights, like the each letter is like this amazing energy. So there's light planted in the Torah, right? God, it says, right, that God saw the light that it was good, and what happens? And then the sun and the moon and the stars are created on Yom Revi'i, on the fourth day, right? But so Rashi says over there, God saw that the light was good, and He didn't want the wicked ones to use it, so He hid it and that the tzaddikim can access it. Where did he hide it? In the Torah. Okay. And willing to make a bet with anybody. If you want to try it out, try sitting and learning, like, with as much tahara as you possibly can muster up, versus just ordinary learning. And you'll see that the Torah is going to be shining to you to a greater degree than when you just start learning. Tahara. And you said, like, if there's anybody that you need to apologize to, make sure you apologize to them beforehand, and etc. Really be in as holy a space as you can be. You'll see that when you're learning Torah, it's going to be illuminated to a much greater degree than normal, than your normal. So, back in the context of Kabbalat Shabbat, Yom Shlishi, middle of the week, right? The third day of the week, it's like the halfway point of the week. So it's in one way to understand this particular Mizmor is like sort of saying, think about, is there anything from Yom Shlishi that you still need to fix before going ahead towards, to as we're getting into Shabbos. Okay.
What was Yom Shlishi?
Yesterday.
No, what was created in Yom Shlishi?
Oh, yeah.
Grass?
Huh?
I forgot what was created.
Yeah, the vegetation.
Registration.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? There's two things.
And separation of the land and the
The earth. Dry land and
separation between water and earth. Yeah.
continents.
Yeah. Okay, so that explains the connection with all the natural phenomena here. Okay, so take the Reb Shlomo book now, and we're going to go on to the next one, page 102.
Anybody else in the book? Okay.
We need to share one over here. Let's see. So Helene, share with Ashley, please. And okay, you guys got one? Okay, good. Yeah. And here you can come and share with me. Shlomo. And you'll share with me. Okay, so מזמור שיר להשם שיר חדש בחצוצרות בקול שופר נהרות שמחה ורוחה. We didn't read the mizmor yet inside, but again, there's a call to sing a new song, right?
Wait, the one above it, no?
The
one above it?
No, that's one I just spoke about. This one, okay.
Oh.
There's a call to sing a new song, and I'm going to just read it out loud in English. I'm going to read the song first, okay?
Which song will you know? Next song?
The next one, yeah. Mizmor Shir Hashem Shir Chadash Hashem. Sing to Hashem a new song, for He has performed wonders. His right hand and holy arm have brought deliverance for him. Hashem has made known His salvation. He has revealed His justice before the eyes of the nations. He has remembered His loving kindness and faithfulness to the house of Israel. All from the farthest corners of the earth witness the deliverance by our God. Raise your voices in jubilation to Hashem. All the earth burst into joyous song and chanting. Sing to Hashem with a harp and the sound of song, with trumpets and the sound of the shofar. Jubilate before Hashem, before the King Hashem. The sea and its fullness will roar in joy, the earth and its inhabitants. The rivers will clap their hands, the mountains will sing together. They will rejoice before Hashem, for He has come to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the nations with righteousness. By the way, there were communities that used to do these mizmorim of Kabbalat Shabbat. Like, people used to go to shul early, and they would do these mizmorim with musical instruments. And it was something that the rabbis basically sort of put a stop to doing that. It's not Osir, right? It's not Shabbos yet. And so you need to know like this. Music is not a malacha. Music is called the chokhmah. It's called the wisdom, okay? And the reason we don't play musical instruments on Shabbos is because it's a gzera of Shema Yitaken. If you fix the instrument, if you tune the instrument, then you're already doing a malacha that is also min haTorah. Okay, and don't let yourself be deceived into thinking, oh, I can pick up the guitar and play the guitar, and if it goes out of tune, I'm just so conscious of Shabbos, I'll just put it down. Don't be so sure. And even if you are so sure, you're still not allowed to do it.
You're talking, of course, about acoustic instruments, not electric instruments that require electricity.
I'm talking about acoustic instruments, for sure not electric.
Right.
Okay, but the so but it can, yes, and the Rabbanim are not happy with it. We're not happy with communities that were like doing the first part of Kabbalat Shabbat with musical instruments, and so they didn't want that to be done either. And I can see why, because it could sort of like I can see somebody like wanting to play like right up to the last minute, and how do you know what if it's cloudy? Maybe it's already Shabbos and things like that. In any case, clearly from this mizmor, what's being said very clearly is that start singing, start dancing, start celebrating, turn up the energy. You can't just sit there like an old piece of Lakshan Kugel, like Limpy Lakshan and things like that. You gotta spice it up a little bit. You're getting into Shabbos, spice it up. You can't just wait for it to happen. Start doing something. Start being joyous. So let's see what Reb Shlomo has to say. So he says, he got over his Moshe Yom Rabi'i. This is the psalm of the fourth day. One of the lines in this mizmor is that the rivers will clap their hands. What's the connection between the rivers clapping their hands and Shabbos? What do we need this? What do we need this for? So I want to share something from Reb Nachman with you. He says, אתם יודעים חברים, אנחנו חיים חיים שבהם יום אחד אני ממש טוב ולמחרת אני חי בזבל. Right, the way we're living our lives, one day I can mamish be really great, and the next day I'm in the garbage. I'm in the pits. Remember there used to be a book called If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, Why Am I in the Pits?
Oh my God, what is that saying?
There was a book that was called If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, Why Am I in the Pits? That was the title of the book. Okay. And so he says, Yom echad ani kol kach sameach lemacharat, ani rotze litaved. One day I'm so happy, the next day, God forbid, I want to leave this world. Tedu, you should know, Shalom HaTeva hu me'od amiti. The world of nature is very real. K'she'etz ro'esh ani sameach, when the tree sees that I'm happy, hu ameir chakeh, v'nireh ech tira'eh machar. Let's see what you're going to look like tomorrow. Im yom echad ro'im shani kadosh. If one day you see that I'm holy, as hanahar omeir chakeh ad machar. Let's wait till tomorrow. Let's see how long it's going to last. But there will be one day a great Shabbos. Shabbat Ein Sofit, an infinite Shabbat. Shabbat Kol Haolam Yeh Tov LaNetzach, when the whole world will be eternally good. Shetiyeh Simcha Ein Sofit, there will be eternal joy. Lachen, therefore, b'chol leil Shabbat, kasher mekablim, we're on page 103, the fourth line. B'chol leil Shabbat, kasher mekablim et Shabbat, every Friday night when we're receiving Shabbos, אנחנו בוכים ומתחננים, we're crying and we're begging. ריבונו של עולם, שהכל יהיה לנצח. God, I want everything to be eternal already. שיהיה אמיתי, I want it to be real. אתם יודעים, חברים יקרים, יש כל כך הרבה בתים שבורים, there are so many broken homes. כל כך הרבה לבכות, וחלונות שבורים, there's so much to cry over, כל כך הרבה לבבות וחלונות שבורים, so many broken hearts and broken windows. כי שום דבר לא נשאר לעולם, לא נשאר לנצח, because in this world nothing is eternal. אבל בשבת הנצחית, but when the eternal Shabbat is going to come, כל העצים ירקדו, all the trees will dance, ונהרות ימחא אורחיו, and the rivers will clap their hands, because שיהיה לנצח, it's going to be eternal. So אנחנו שרים את השיר של יום רביעי, so we're singing the song of the fourth day, וכולם יודעים שהאור של שבת מתחיל להאיר כבר מיום רביעי. And everybody knows that the light of Shabbos begins to come down on the fourth day of the week, right? Shabbat is like the middle of the week. So you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the light of the coming Shabbos is coming in already today, right? And that light of this coming Shabbos lasts until Yom Shlishi. That's why lahaloche, you can make Havdalah up till Yom Shlishi. Because in a certain sense, Shabbos is not over yet. And in fact, I understand that the Amshon of Rabbi very often doesn't get to make Havdalah before. He actually doesn't finish with Shabbos until Yom Shlishi. Okay? So he's saying that Wednesday is already, Shabbos is already coming in. So therefore, as אנחנו מתחננים בפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, so we're begging God, שהשבת הזאת תהיה לנצח, that this Shabbos should already be eternal. שנשמע את החצוצרה הגדולה, we should hear the great trumpet, right? בחצוצרות בקול שופר, with the trumpets and the sound of the shofar, שנשמע את החצוצרות מבשרת את הבשורה, שהכל יהיה לנצח, right? תקע בשופר גדול לחירותנו, sound the great shofar for our freedom, for our liberation. So when you hear the trumpets and when you hear the shofar, it's to remind us of the great day in the future. And this is like we were learning the other day, that as Yashir Moshe, we were already singing the sound of the future. We were singing the sound of Tchiyat HaMetim, and here too, we're singing. Maybe I'm not perfect now. Maybe I'm still very, very far from perfect. The world isn't perfect yet, and so on. But let's sing and let the song be a prayer to have the eternal Shabbos already. May it be this week. So, you know the story about. I don't remember the name right now, but there's a story about okay, so I'll tell you the other one. There's a story that from a Bereshul Ushpitziner. Ushpitzin is the Yiddish name of Auschwitz. And he used to tell the story, and he says that when he was 18 years old, he felt that he needed a Rebbe. And he heard that Shlomo Kamenker was coming to town, and something told him that this man might be his Rebbe. A Rebbe is someone that a chassid would pretty much entrust his soul to his Rebbe for guidance. Anyway, so in that town there was a Yid that was known as Chaskel of the Kavod Shabbos. Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos. If you haven't heard the story yet, I'm sure you've heard it, but it's worth to listen to Reb Shlomo telling the story. Chaskell was a young man who grew up orphaned, and when he was 12 years old, the community realized that he's not going to go very far in learning. He didn't have the head for it, so he became a porter in the marketplace, and he would carry things home for people. He would carry things for people who needed help with carrying their shopping, and he would ask people, "So Hanale, is this for Shabbos? Are these potatoes for Shabbos?" And she'd say to him, "Oh, there's quite a few potatoes here. I'm sure some of them are going to be for Shabbos." And if he would hear that this food is for Shabbos, he'd pick it up over his head and he'd sing L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos. And by Wednesday, he wasn't even asking anymore if it's for Shabbos or not. And all day long, you'd hear in the marketplace, you'd hear Chaskell singing, L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos, L'Kovit Shabbos. So Chaskell became known as Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos, and everybody in town thought that was sort of like a little bit of a joke. And kids would make fun of him. Hey, Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos, Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos. But Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos didn't pay any attention to that, and he just kept on in his ways. So came Friday night. Rebbe Shul relates. The place was crowded, the shul was crowded, everybody came to be with this Rebbe. And after davening, it was beautiful davening, and after davening, everybody's lining up to say good Shabbos to the Rebbe. And he says, except for two people, Chaskell and myself. Chaskell didn't go into the line because he just figured, who am I? Why would the Rebbe even want to bother saying good Shabbos to me? And I didn't go in because I wanted to see how the Rebbe is going to relate with Chaskell. Anyway, everybody finished saying good Shabbos to the Rebbe, and they were helping him on. His Gabbai was helping him on with his winter coat. And all of a sudden, he turns around and he sees the two of us, and he says, my dear friends, aren't you going to come say good Shabbos? So quickly I went behind Chaskell. Chaskell had no choice. He was in front of me. And he goes up to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says good Shabbos to him, takes his hand, and he says, so what's your name? He says, my name is Chaskell. The Rebbe says, by any chance, do you have another name? So he says, yeah, they call me Chaskell the Kabbalat Shabbos. And he says, Mamish, the Rebbe got tears in his eyes, and he says, what an honor to be called the Kabbalat Shabbos. So tell me, Chaskell, what do you think about when you're saying the Kabbalat Shabbos? And Chaskell is a little bit ashamed at this point. And he says, Rebbe, I really don't know very much. The only things my father once told me before he passed away, that, you should know that Hashem created the world. Hashem gave us Shabbos. And then things got messed up, but there's going to come a great day when it's going to be like Mamish all Shabbos. It's going to be like an eternal Shabbos. So when I pick up those potatoes or whatever I'm carrying, and I'm singing the Kabbalat Shabbos, I'm saying, Rabbeinu Shalom, let it be sweet, let it be soon. Anyway, the Rebbe was so moved by Chaskell. And I realized this is my Rebbe, and I became his disciple. And eventually, my Rebbe didn't have any, I don't know, he appointed me to replace him after he left the world. But Chaskell had disappeared after that Shabbos. Never saw him again. And nobody knew what happened to him. And one day I'm doing Shabbos in a certain village, and late Thursday night I hear somebody in the street singing L'Kovet Shabbos, L'Kovet Shabbos, L'Kovet Shabbos, L'Kovet Shabbos. And then I realized that my Rebbe had taken me and as a student, but that he had made Chaskelu into one of the 36 hidden tzaddikim. Anyway, there's a continuation to the story. Like every good Hasidic story has a continuation. So do you know Elyon? Anyway, Elyon grew up under Moshav, on Shlomo's Moshav. And I always say that if Shlomo would have had a son, he would be like Elyon. Anyway, so Elyon was living in the neighborhood. Baruch Hashem, he has, I think, 6 children now. And when he first got married, he was living in the neighborhood. And he's got a good, strong voice. And when he'd go to the shuk, he'd buy something and he'd scream like really loud, L'Kovet Shabbos! You know Leila? No? And one afternoon, like, after from the shuk, he goes to catch mincha there at the Zaharei Chama at the shul on Yafo. And there was a few minutes before mincha, and this rabbi's giving a talk, and he's saying, I don't know what's going on anymore. Like these people running around, mitzvah gedolah, liyat simcha. Whoever heard of such a thing? I say it's a big simcha to be b'mitzvah. And then he says, this guy in the shuk running around today, screaming, L'Kovet Shabbos, L'Kovet Shabbos. Elyon is like sinking under the table, Anyway, later that evening, his wife Leila says to him, Elyon, and she was expecting, she says, I gotta have fish. Like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, I need fish. You don't argue with your wife when she's expecting. So there used to be a fish restaurant over here called Beni Dagim. So they go to the restaurant, and they were very poor. And they're looking at the menu, they're trying to find the cheapest dish that they could find, and they finally order it with a few sardines. They didn't serve sardines at the restaurant, but whatever they did. And they're sitting there waiting, and then the waiter comes out with 2 huge platters of the most expensive stuff on the menu. And he puts it down in front of them. They're looking like, what? They call the waiter back and they say, sorry, we didn't order this, So the waiter goes and takes it back into the kitchen. Comes back 3 minutes later, puts it back in front of them, and he says, the boss wants you to have it. Who's the boss? And he points to Benny. Benny, all his life, used to stand in the shuk. He had a fish stall in the shuk here on the open street at one of the corners. And he used to be selling fish all day long, all week long, all his life. And he did well. He also had this restaurant, Beni Dagim, and so on. But he was like a simple Yid and so on. Anyway, they look at him, and he comes over to their table. And he says to Elyon, he says, I'm not a religious man. But when I heard you scream L'Kovet Shabbos today, you gave me back my soul. So I want you and your wife to come here every week and to have a meal, my treat. So understand, the one of the points over here is like this. You might not feel like Shabbos, you might not feel so Shabbos-tic yet. But when you go home today and you start doing things, say L'Kovet Shabbos. Like, turn up the energy. It works. It works. Turn up the energy and put this. Don't wait for it to happen to you. Say, I'm doing this now. L'Kovet Shabbos. I'm cleaning. I'm cooking. I'm shopping. Whatever it is that you're doing, right? It's already Yom Revi'i. It's already Wednesday. Shabbos is already coming in. Turn it up. L'Kovet Shabbos. Right? Take out your trumpet and go. However you do it. I don't know how they do it. I know you just do it like that, right? Okay.
It's trombone.
Huh?
Trombone.
Same family. Okay. They both have this stuff, right? Like turn it up, and that is like a big help in getting into Shabbos. And Bezrat Hashem, we should be zeicher to the eternal Shabbos.
Amen.
So tomorrow, please we'll try to start on time because tomorrow, right after the class, we're leaving for Tzvat. So we have a wedding tomorrow in Tzvat. Thank you. Okay, so we'll probably stop at 1:15, huh? Ephraim Mordechai, you coming?
No.
No?
You coming back? When you coming back?
I have to come back. I don't know if we're probably going to be in